Namaste, Haribol. My name is Janapati Das. Welcome again to the Yoga Wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, where we go through the Bhagavad Gita. This is the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's translated by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We go through, pick some verses, we discuss the wonderful yoga wisdom in this wonderful text of the Bhagavad Gita. I'd like to take this opportunity to offer my respects to you. Thank you for tuning in. I'd also like to take the opportunity to offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual teacher, Jagaguru Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, who is the mercy manifestation of Krishna. He is, I'm only able to discuss anything about the Bhagavad Gita because of his mercy upon all of us, and so I offer my respectful obeisances. I also offer my obeisances to my spiritual grandfather, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who translated this Bhagavad Gita and purported upon it. So, as instructed by the spiritual lineage of teachers, we will take this opportunity to engage in mantra meditation, the yoga meditation of Kirtan. And in this process, if you're unaware of this type of meditation, we will be singing mantras, or I will be singing mantras, and you will be hopefully singing along on the other side. And first time through, you will listen to the mantra, just let it wash over you, enter your heart, bathe you in the sound of the sacred names of Krishna. And the second time through, you can join back with me and sing back. So let's get this on the road. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Purakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pristayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pristayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pristayate Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Forgot the mantra. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasudeva Guru Bhakta Vrinda Haribo Jai Go Haribo Jai Go Radha Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gauranga, Haribo. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my most humble obeisances unto him. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Haribo. Welcome. So, once again, every month we read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. This wonderful section of the Mahabharata, the great epic of the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is probably the greatest epic on the planet. It's something like 18,000 shlokas or verses. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, amazing story of the Pandava brothers and Krishna and so many other characters, historical figures are in there. But the Bhagavad Gita, this particular part of the Mahabharata, is towards the latter part of the epic, when a great battle is about to ensue. And I mean, when we talk about great battles, it's a great battle. It's like millions of people from opposing sides over a conflict. And one of the brothers from one side, his name is Arjuna, is a friend and cousin to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As you can see in this picture here, you can see Arjuna up here in the chariot and Krishna driving the chariot. And this starts right before the battle. And there was so much etiquette and rules and regulations in fighting battles back then. There was a warrior caste called Kshatriyas, of which Arjuna was a member of, and there were rules and etiquettes that were so far beyond what wars do not even, at this time, did not even, nowadays people drop bombs hither and thither, wherever, blow up hospitals, blow up schools or whatever, drop on men, women, children, dogs, cats, everybody. But there's no rules or regulations about concerning warfare, really, in this day and age of Kali Yuga. But in this time, the warriors had rules about this battle. So we have this battlefield that's separated with millions of people on each side, but there is a center part, and the warrior prince Arjuna asks his friend Krishna, who is driving his chariot for him, to go out into the middle of the battlefield to scope the scene. And it's not like they would fight. There was an understanding that once everybody blew the conch shells and it was understood that the battle was going to start, the battle would go on, and it would be fought until sundown, in which they would blow the bugles again and everybody would stop. And all the warriors from the opposite sides would get together and have dinner together and admire, and like they were brothers, even though they were mortal enemies. So, you couldn't really imagine, like, okay, let's Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers are Hamas soldiers and Israeli soldiers sitting down at the end of a battle and just discussing things and joking and having dinner, and then the next day they go back at it again to try to kill each other. That was the warrior's code. It was very, very strict. Anyway, this is set on this great battle. This Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and Arjuna, of course, let's see if I can find actually I don't know if there's actually a really great picture. It does have pictures in here. If I can't find it right away, I'll just skip it. But, maybe in the beginning, huh? It's kind of a picture here, and there's a, you can see here, there's the chariot in the center, and the warriors on both sides waiting to fight. And, Arjuna has a deliberate, problem with once he goes there and he sees the family members. There's actually family members and friends from both of his friends and family members on both sides of about ready to fight with each other. And he becomes compassionate and basically has an issue with fighting, and he takes the questions to Krishna, and as is in the Vedic system to give information, spiritual information, one disciple will surrender and pose a question to their spiritual master, and this is what you see in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna acting as Arjuna's spiritual master about why he should fight in this battle, but much, much more in the Bhagavad Gita. We've gone through these in these classes before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump into a part of because there's so much in the Bhagavad Gita. What I recommend is you read a little bit every day. There's wonderful purports. My spiritual master has so many lectures on the Bhagavad Gita. It's so wonderful. But we're going to read just some of the verses and some of the purports, and we're going to talk about these things. So I'm going to start with text 8, chapter 10. And this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. I love how a lot of these verses encapsulate the complete absolute truth of spiritual life. The first thing to understand that Krishna is stating is that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada wrote in the introduction of this is that somebody once, before he translated this and purported, had asked him about, what was a good translation of the Bhagavad Gita to do. And he couldn't quite think of one that was done in English. And because although you can go to the bookstore or the library and you can see Bhagavad Gita is translated by various people, professors, and they know Sanskrit very well. They do not, as Bhaktivedanta Swami states in this, is that because they have a vested interest in what they want to say about their opinion of what the Bhagavad Gita means. In other words, we were stating that spiritual knowledge is disseminated through a spiritual lineage of teachers to students, just as Krishna does here to Arjuna. And I've learned from my spiritual master, and he learned from Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada learned from Bhaktisiddhanta. We can state our spiritual teachers, pure devotees, all the way back to Krishna, And here in this case, Krishna is also acting as a spiritual master, because he is the original spiritual master, because he says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. In other words, he's stating he is God. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything animate and inanimate and in the material world is emanating from him. Everything in the spiritual world is emanating from him. He is the source of everything spiritual and material. So that's the first thing to understand when approaching the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan means God. It means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Gita is a music or a song. So this is a song of God. It is Krishna's song. But Krishna's song is everything, really. Krishna's song is everything that is around us. Is everything in the spiritual world, everything in the material world, everything that exists in ability in man, ability in living entities, are all comes from Krishna. It's all the source. Krishna is the source of all things. He says everything emanates from me, right? And so he says, the wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So the problem is that many translations don't put Krishna as the center. In fact, a lot of times they'll say that you don't even have to, Krishna is sort of a non sequitur. It's not really important. We just want to get to the philosophy of what's being said in the Bhagavad Gita, and they have their own interpretations of what that means, and sometimes it's the craziest things. So that's why it's said that it's best not to hear from those commentators, because they're nonsense. They have no spiritual lineage, and they are speculating with their own minds about what the absolute truth. But the wise, right, the wise, and this class is called the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. The wise are the people that actually learn this from their spiritual master, and apply, because Krishna's teaching Arjuna not only the absolute truth, but he says you can take it or leave it. At the end, he says, if you apply it in your life, you apply these instructions in your life, then you will be successful in going back home, back to Krishna. You'll be successful under understanding the realities of what's going on in the world. So, because so many people are distressed, just like Arjuna. But Arjuna is a perfect example of every living entity. So many people are distressed in this age of Kali, of chaos, quarrel, and confusion. So many people are confused and perplexed, and just, to me, it's amazing the kinds of hassle that is given to people's mind, that they become so angry. We look in our world right now, people destroying things, people fighting, people arguing, people, you go on your scroll in your social media, it's just like constant conflicts of things, of people, and then you find yourself getting angry watching it. So it's so, the wise who know that everything comes from Krishna, and that as Krishna is telling Arjuna that the living entity is neither their body nor their mind, but they are a spiritual child. They are a spiritual entity of Krishna, and that they have a function and a work to do for the service of Krishna. This is our natural function eternally. All this stuff that goes on, whether so-and-so, these people can live in this country, or, or if they will get deported, or, if we have a Democrat as a president, or we have a Republican as a president, or people, who's better, black, white, or Hispanic, or Native American, who's the best, it's all these things really are temporary, and completely missing the point of the reality of the existence that we really live in as eternal spiritual functions. We have such a short existence in a human form of life right now, and we should be like one of these wise people who engage in the devotional service and worship Krishna, because that is what we do eternally. We've just forgotten that right now. We've decided, I don't really want to do that. I want to focus on whatever is going on, whatever Netflix shows on, or whatever's, whatever's on the news right now, or whatever, what this funny meme, or it's mind blowing. But so Krishna makes it very clear in here, and we're going to read this purport here. A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, of course, is the incarnation of Sri Krishna in this age of Kali Yuga, who came and brought us the Sankirtan Yajna, the hearing and chanting, the sacrifice for this day and age that we can apply on, because Krishna knew, and they knew that in this age, the Iron Age, that people's memories will be really short. People will be agitated and irritated and angry and completely sinful, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet, but it's certainly getting worse as we go. But we have a long time to go in this age. Things are going to get much worse, but Lord Chaitanya, out of his mercy, came and brought us the chanting of Krishna's names, which is like a salve on our burning hearts. It's like a cleaning of the mirror that helps the spiritual light shine through, the vision that we need in this life to understand who we are and what our purpose is. The chanting of Krishna's names, we feel it immediately. You know, you can go, and you may not even know what it is, but when you go to a Kirtan, this chanting of what I've just done, especially, you know, in a large congregation of people, you feel it. It's like what Krishna has said. It's like, you know, when you have the crows of the material life, this despondency, this lamentation, this anger, everything that comes with existence in the material world, weighing you down, that when you chant Krishna's names and you clap your hand, you say, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, it's like the crows flying off. And when you leave a kirtan, you feel it. You say, wow, that was really amazing. And this is the beauty and wonderful things of Lord Chaitanya's mission in this age. So authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and there's really wonderful books also by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada called the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or that's a very big volume. You can also, there's Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which is this smaller book that has wonderful teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. Right. So then we'll just... Lord Krishna is the source. So I'm jumping ahead in the purport here because this is a long purport. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says that because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. So everything that, you know, this is the point of, like, that you can surrender to Krishna because Krishna is the source of everything. He knows your heart. He is the source of your heart. He is the source of you. He is the original source of you, and he is the original resting place of the living entity. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. So we don't really have to worry about like other things, you know, whether or not we have to, you know, march out to the street to try to stop Trump, or we have to, you know, whether it's the other way around, we have to, you know, march against whatever, Biden, I don't know, Democrats or whatever, or if we need to, you know, really push my race, or, you know, whatever it might be, any kind of, you know, fight for the planet. You know, the devotee of Krishna by nature has all the good qualities because he gives everything, he gives all of his time and his source to Sri Krishna and becomes the most peaceful person. The devotee of Krishna is the most peaceful source. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master and from Vedic literature, who engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness, becomes a truly learned man. And compared to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. And so they're very, you know, what they say, the fool is the one who says I'm the greatest. You know, it's like there are a lot of people who think they're very learned, but they're actually fools because they don't know Krishna. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. So there's Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada saying exactly that. You know, all these commentaries don't go over to pick up the, the Christopher Isherwood or whatever, Swami that or Swami this, or this college professor you found in the Borders bookstore, Barnes and Noble's bookstore. He's there's the Bhagavad Gita there. It's pretty cheap. It's on sale. No, read the Bhagavad Gita. You can find these. They're very wonderful. They've got all the Sanskrit, the transliterations, the translations and purports by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Very clear. Going on to text 9. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is a wonderful verse, because the devotee of Krishna who gives his life, or her life, to the service of Krishna, it is a great love fest. So Bhagavad Gita is a song of God, but it is also a love song. It's a love song between Krishna and the devotee of Krishna. All of us, actually. Krishna's extending this song to us and saying, please come back to me. I love you. This is a real unconditional love. So many people are searching for love in this world, and they look for each other and in many other things, and they get very disappointed because living entities conditioned in the material world are really we say we want unconditional love, but our love is very conditional. If you don't love you back, the person doesn't love you back, or something happens where they go off and they cheat on you with someone else, then it's like, you're like, oh, I hate you now, or something like, or even like, you're not the person I married 5 years ago. What happened to you? You have all these faults. They have the same fault, but you have all these faults. And so this love, so-called love among living entities, is not really love after all. And so, but the love between the devotee and Krishna is eternal and unlimited, actually. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. So it's like, when you're longing for somebody, I would think that, these times where people of their spouse has gone off to war and they have a picture of their husband or wife, if it was World War II, it would have been a husband, and they just look at their picture and they always think of their longing for their husband to come back to them, because so they can't think of anything else, right? A lot of times people, and when they're missing their husbands or something, have gone off to war, and somebody's trying to talk to them, they just keep thinking about, and they're not even listening to the person that's talking to them, because all they can think about is Krishna. And this is the transcendental example of this one is of the gopis in Vrindavan, when Krishna went off to Dwarka or Mathura and then to Dwarka. The gopis could not think of anything but Krishna. Their minds were always with Krishna. And Krishna was with the gopis too. It was a transcendental love, unconditional love. They were thinking of the feet of Krishna always. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. They would talk always about Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. And so this is a wonderful party, love fest that we can also engage in. You know, there are so many wonderful stories of Krishna that we can discuss. And here it says, we derive great satisfaction and bliss enlightening one another and conversing about them. So when we talk about Krishna consciousness, and the thinking about Krishna, and remembering about Krishna, you know, this idea of like the husband and the wife in war, or maybe the husband comes back, you know, or something, but that kind of love it's conditional, so it doesn't have the same depth as talking about Krishna. And this is why we call this Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. The engaging in discussion about Krishna. This class in Bhagavad Gita is a case of discussing about Krishna, and it's very wonderful. You can read these scriptures, and you can be reading them, and they're ever fresh and ever eternal, and ever revealing about new and wonderful relationships that we have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna. So the chanting of Krishna's names is also, so when we hear Krishna's, the Kirtan, we find that more and more as we listen to it, and the more and more we engage into it. And it's said that we bathe ourselves in the sounds of Krishna. Now you can bathe yourselves in the sounds of so many things, mundane talk. You can just pop music, or things just talking, singing about baby, baby, I love you. These things maybe have an initial kind of taste to it, but if you were, the analogy I've heard my spiritual master talk about is that, you could take the food that you really like and that the music that you really love, and you take say I like the Beatles or something like that, and so and I like, I don't know, pizza, right? So, but if you were put into a house in a room and locked into that room, and all you could eat for a month was pizza and listen to the Beatles, I think it would be like, oh, that's great for the first 2-3 times, but then after a while you're just like, I don't want to eat pizza. You just it makes you repulsive. You want to eat something else. You want to listen to something else, or you don't want to listen to anything, But the chanting of Krishna's names never gets old, never gets tired. When we hear it, we are always attracted to it, and it becomes more and more attractive and tasteful. And so this is why the devotee is constantly engaged in this practice. The hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. This is very wonderful. I can be on Facebook right now and finding out what's going on in LA, or what has Trump done now, or what's going on in this world, or what's on Netflix, and the mind is constantly saying, you got to find some. You're not happy doing these things. Try these things, and keep trying different things. There's so many kinds of smorgasbords of empty, tasteless things that will completely not satisfy us but make us miserable. And we constantly engage in that. That's why so many people are so miserable, because they do not find satisfaction in discussing about these things, but they're addicted to it. They feel like it. The more they take it, the more it eats away. What's these things? They found these amoebas that eat out the flesh inside your body. They get in water sometimes. People have died and they've eaten out your brain. That's exactly what these things are. They're just eat away at you, so that you're just bitter and angry all the time. But the discussion of Krishna's names is very sumptuous. It's very wonderful, in that you keep getting attracted to it. So in the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. In the mature state, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. So, wonderful things. Lord Chaitanya likens the transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed. sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. Yeah, this is the very one, I think it's Bijalata, right? Bijalata Hari. So the spiritual master gives you the seed of Krishna and plants it in your heart. And it's your job to water it and to take care of that seed by the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names, by the practice, service in Krishna consciousness. And text 10, and we'll wrap this up because we're running out of time, but to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So for a person who's, not everybody wants to, it's kind of like the Matrix. Not everybody wants to leave the Matrix, right? Not most people want to, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm happy in this material world. All right, I like this material world. I'm very attracted to this material world. But they're not happy, but they just can't get away from it. But there are many people who are. They come to that point. They're saying, I live in the wealthiest country in the world. I have everything. I have enough money. I have a loving wife. I have a wonderful, children and whatnot. Well, why am I so unhappy? And they get into drugs or even sometimes suicide. They're just completely unhappy. So many people are so unhappy. And when you have spiritual intelligence is when you say, why am I suffering? Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? I need to, and you go inward to seek out the answers for that. And if God, said that God gives us Guru and Guru gives us God, right? So that when we go to our heart and we ask God to please give us guidance, it will oftentimes lead us to a teacher, a spiritual teacher, who will then teach us about how to have a relationship with God. So this is the point of what he's saying. If you're devoted to God and you worship God with love, God will give you the understanding, and the guru teacher will give you the understanding by which they can come to Krishna, go back to Krishna. In this verse, the word buddhi yogam is very significant. Buddhi means intelligence. Buddhi yogam is the use of your spiritual intelligence in the service of God. Is very significant. We remember in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. So this is the Karma Yoga, right? It's a very similar thing. The activities that we've done, and you can do pretty much almost any activity that you do for yourself in the material world, but for the service of Krishna. And this is what Krishna was telling Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to fight, but he wanted him to fight for Krishna. He wanted him to fight for him as a service to him without any attachment. Not just fighting for, this kingdom or to save people or whatever, but to serve in the service of Krishna. In other words, Buddhi Yogam is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. So it is important to have a spiritual master because many people don't feel that they need to have a spiritual master to guide them, but they feel moved in religiosity, but all they have is the speculation of their minds and the scripture maybe that they're using, if it's the Bible or the Quran or whatever, and then they become a self-proclaimed guru, and they may even be teaching things that are completely way off. They're interpreting the Bible according to what they think it means, and so this is why it's important to have a bona fide spiritual master to tell you what things mean in scripture and what the purpose of your life really should be. One should know that the goal is Krishna. When the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively transfers, and the ultimate goal is achieved. My spiritual master has made it very clear that he shows the way on the path, but he doesn't drag you down the path. In other words, the spiritual life is a progress. It's slow, yes, methodical, and a lot of opportunities to sit down on the path or to go off the path or think, oh, I should be going this way. But the spiritual master is saying you need to go that way, and you need to do the spiritual work. You have to put in the time for spiritual work, and you can't just, it's not just abracadabra. The spiritual master blesses you and then you're a pure devotee of Krishna. No, it takes practice and work and guidance from the spiritual master of saying, okay, yes, you're going down the right way. Like Arjuna says, asks these questions. He takes it humbly and, receives it in a humble state of mind. He may ask more questions. The devotee may ask more, a disciple may ask more questions about things, and the spiritual master will answer it, will chastise the student, or so many things. But this is of course a very big subject, and I think what we're going to do is chant a little bit right now and call it for the night. Thank you very much. Haribol. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night. Namaste.